your fist. Don't be upset if somebody gets a little bit more clay than you do, because if they're making an elephant, you're making a chihuahua, obviously they're going to need just a little bit more clay than you. If you need extra clay for extra things like the nose and tail and stuff like that, you can get that additional clay when you need it. I'm going to start from the very beginning. Everybody's going to start out the same way, and then to a certain point, and then after you get the legs started, from that point forward, you'll start making your clay animal look to be whatever animal you drew on your paper. So if you made a cat and it's walking along, then you'll make your cat like it's walking along. Or if you're making an elephant or whatever you're making, at a certain point, then you start off on your journey to make it look like the animal you drew on your paper. The first step, however, is after you get your clay, you're going to knead it to get the air pockets out of your clay. And how you do that is you use the palm of your hand. You're going to push straight down on the clay. And then you're going to pick it up and turn it. You're going to push it down. You're going to pick it up and turn it. You're going to push it down. You're going to pick it up and turn it. You're going to push it down. Pick it up and turn it. You're going to push it down. Pick it up and turn it. You're going to push it down. Pick it up and turn it. You're going to push it down. Pick it up and turn it. Every time you pick it up and turn it, you want to turn it to a different side, not just back and forth. You don't want to flatten it like a pancake, because every time you fold over the clay again, you're trapping more air in the clay, creating more air pockets. You don't want to slam it on your desk, because that's flattening it out. And if you keep adding more air into the clay, you're not really kneading it, and you're not really getting anywhere on the process to go on to the next step. And for those of you who need a number, Mrs. Probst, how many times do I need to knead this? I'm thinking 20 is a nice round number. I also stand up when I knead it so that I can use gravity and my body weight to do all the heavy lifting, right? Because if you sit down, your wrist is going to get really tired. And it might not be done as well as if you just stand up. So you're going to push down, pick it up and turn it. Push it down, pick it up and turn it. Push it down, pick it up and turn it. Push it down, pick it up and turn it. And once you kind of get a rhythm to it, it goes pretty fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. No time at all, right? I can do it pretty fast. It's not about how fast you do it, it's about how well it's done. Because this step could make or break your animal. If you have air trapped in your clay body, when it's fired, it could blow up. The problem is I fire these all together, and if yours blows up or explodes, those little pieces that go flying could hit all the other clay animals around it. So this step is, you really not only do it for yourself, but you're doing it for your classmates as well. After you've kneaded it, then you're going to pat it into a ball. So I'm just kind of cupping it in my hands, and I'm kind of turning it around in a circle as I do that. And I'm pretty fast, but I'm going to slow it down for you and kind of see that. If that isn't working for you, you can also roll it on the top of the desk. You can roll it in between the palms of your hands. However you can make it into a ball, that's what I want you to do, right? It's not really the technique as far as that goes, as long as it's round like a baseball when you get done. Everybody does the same thing up to this point, right? Then I would say 99.9% of your animals have a head and neck. So you're going to use your thumb and your index finger. I'm going to grab about a third of the way down from the top of the ball of the clay, and I'm going to squeeze it just a little bit. And then I'm going to let go, and I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to squeeze and let go. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Turn. Squeeze, let go, turn. Squeeze, let go, turn. Squeeze, let go. And do that a couple of times. So now it kind of looks like a snowman or a pear or a bowling pin, something like that, right? So this top part is going to turn into the head. This part is the neck, and this part is the body, right? Up to this point, everybody does the same thing. Most of your animals, I would say all of them, are going to have 4 legs. So in the body, we're going to pull out the legs. What I do is I take my 3 fingers and I line the tips of my fingers up, right? And I kind of curl my fingers like this. In the center of the body, I'm going to push into the clay and make like a little trench right there, right? So this little part at the front is going to be the front legs, and this part at the back are going to be the back legs. And then to make the waist and to kind of pop the legs out, I'm going to reach around. My middle finger is going to be on this side of that little indentation, and my thumb is going to be on this side, on the opposite side. And if it's too thick, you can kind of rock it back and forth until you can squeeze all the way around. And see, it kind of pops those legs, pops the front leg out, pops the back leg out. So now you have kind of the basic gist, the basic shape, except that you have one huge front leg and one huge back leg. So now we're going to do a little division, just like you're in math class, right? So take your little clay tool. I always like to measure things before I cut them, because once you cut them, you're kind of stuck. So I'm going to take my little clay tool. I'm going to draw a line in the center, right? And from here, what I want to see is from here to here, is that about the same distance as from here to here? If it's not, I can smooth it out and try it again. If it is, I can go ahead and cut that front leg excuse me, into two legs. And then I kind of pull them apart and kind of round them out.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Okay? It's like magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excuse me. We're going to repeat that same process for the back leg. Again, I want to measure it before I cut it, because you don't want to end up with one little toothpick leg and one big honking leg on the other side, right? So, here's my little mark. I want to eyeball that and see if from here to here is the same distance as from here to here. If it is, I'm good to go. I can go ahead and cut that and divide that one back leg into two. And then again, I'm going to kind of round this out like a cylinder. And so I have the start of the basic shape of my leg, my legs, right? From up to this point, everybody goes and does the same exact thing. From this point forward is we start making changes, right? So let's say I'm making a horse, okay? Well, obviously this neck is way too short for a horse, so I'm going to take my middle finger, my thumb, I'm going to grab his little neck and gently kind of squeeze and stretch that neck out a little bit. What I want to make sure is that when I'm squeezing that, you don't keep pushing the same spot, because if I keep pushing on the same exact spot, I'm going to pop his head off, right? But okay, easy crowd today. So it's going to be wider here, skinnier towards the head, right? Now the horse's nose also sticks out from the head, so I'm going to pinch the nose out from the head. And if I have enough clay on the top, I can pinch his little ears out of the top as well. Now if you're having an animal that's got big ears like an elephant or a rabbit, you're going to want to make those out of another piece of clay and add them on, because you're not, if you pull that much clay off the top of his head, he's not going to have a head left, right? Okay. Horses' bodies are also longer than what I have here. This would be great if I was making like a bear or something that's kind of compact, or an elephant. But the horse body is a little longer. So again, middle finger, thumb, you're going to squeeze around the waist, kind of stretch him out a little bit, thin him up a little bit, little liposuction there. And then the legs on a horse are also longer. So I'm going to stretch those out. Again, just kind of pinching it with my thumb and my fingers, and stretch that out however long, you think your animal's legs are. Repeat that with the back legs, like so. Now, if it's like some of you have drawn your animal where your head's turned, well, if I want to make his head turn, bam, head's turned, right? If his little mouth is open, I can take my clay tool, I can open that right up, right? Okay. All right. Now, if I'm adding tail and like a mane, which is the hair on the back of the horse's neck. Would you hand me a little bit of clay over there? Just sitting on top. Okay. So if you're going to add pieces like a tail or a mane, what you do is you get another piece of clay. There's a bag of clay, not the block of clay, but there's a bag next to the block. And what I'm doing is I just take a little piece and I'm squeezing it in my hand, right, to kind of make sure I don't have any air pockets in it. And then I'm going to roll it out like a little coil or a snake. Maybe you guys used to do this with Play-Doh, right? And then I figure out how long I need it to be, like for his mane on the back of his neck. I got a little extra, so I can cut that off to however long I need it. Then, when you add one piece of clay to another piece of clay, you're going to score it. And what that means is, you take your clay tool and you make little cut marks in the piece that you're going to attach, right? Just rough up the clay, and then you're also going to rough up the clay or score where that piece is going to be put on or attached to. Right? And then to seal the deal, I take a little water and I spritz it on there. I'm going to place this, maybe I'll flip that around, on the back of the neck. Kind of push it down a little bit. Then I'm going to take my clay tool and I'm going to smush the edge to make sure that's got a nice tight seal. And do the same thing on the back.
Wouldn't there be air pockets in the mane though?
Not if you've scored it and you put the water on, and if you push this down, that squeezes the air out from between it. Good question. Okay. And then kind of smooth it out. Now, one of the other things I want you to do a little experimentation with is texture. And they got a lot of these great clay tools, and they have, like this one's got a little zigzag edge on it, right? And I use this one a lot. So the mane on a horse has a different look and feel to it than the rest of the fur on the body. So I'm going to make the mane have a little different look and texture than the rest of the body on the horse, right? Kind of rough that up. If you don't like it, if you do a texture you decide you don't like it, you can just smooth that out and do something else, right? So you got that going. Then for the tail, do the same thing. Take a little piece of clay, squish, squish, squish in your hand. Going to roll it out. Kind of shape it however, you want the tail to go. I'm going to cut a little edge off where I'm going to attach. So I have a flat edge to a flat edge. Score that. Make little cut marks in the clay. I'm going to score the part on this little hiney right there. And I'm going to put a little water there. Going to take the tail where the score marks are, attach it to where the score marks are. Again, I'm going to take my clay tool, smooth out the seam so it looks like it's all one big happy piece of clay and nobody knows the difference. Right? Again, the tail has a little different texture than the rest of the body. It's kind of similar to, the mane, yes. And take my clay tool and kind of rough that up to give it a little different look. Okay. All right. For the finer details, like on the face, the eyeball, I just take a pencil and draw the eyeballs on with a pencil just like I'm drawing it on a piece of paper. I'm not just poking a hole in his head because an eyeball is an empty hole. It's an eye. So I would just take and draw it like you drew it on your paper, right? On both sides. Because a horse's eye are kind of on the side of their head. Now the whole part would come like with the nostrils, and you can either use a clay tool or a pencil that doesn't have an eraser and kind of make the little nostrils flare out there, right? Details like the hooves and stuff, I usually draw a line around the top of the hoof and kind of shape that out, right? Well, you're going to want it to stand. This clay is really soft right now, so it's probably not going to do that for me because it's new and it's kind of wet. Okay. If it's towards the end of class and you're not finished with this and you need to finish it up next time, what you're going to do is take a piece of paper towel about 10-12 inches long. You get that wet. You're going to wrap it loosely around the outside edge of your animal. You don't want to wrap it real tight like a mummy because you'll spend next time picking off little pieces of paper. You're just going to wrap it loosely. You're going to have a gallon Ziploc bag with your name and teacher's name on it. You put it in the bag. You Ziploc the bag shut. Then there'll be a tote tray on the counter that has your teacher's name on it. You place it in there. So you just be careful when you're putting those away that you don't drop it on top of somebody else's, because if they've gotten this far and you put your clay on top of theirs, they're not going to be happy if their animal gets smushed. Okay? All right. Thanks.